Hold up.
I hope you're having a great day and I hope you're staying safe at home. Today I want to talk about gluten intolerance, and celiac. For the longest time, we've known that by reducing gluten from your diet, that's if you are sensitive to it, or you're celiac, it can bring about innumerable changes to your health conditions. Today we're going to break it down and understand, because there are just too many people out there suffering from gluten intolerance or mildly being sensitive to gluten. So gluten is a protein that's found in wheat, rye, and barley. Okay, it's a tough protein. So if your gut doesn't have the ability to break it down, it creates inflammation and other problems. A lot of questions come up that, Luke, about 10 to 15 years, people never had these gluten problems. Maybe they did, but we didn't know how to diagnose it. At the same time, the quality of wheat was completely different. When I speak to farmers, I had a farmer about 2.5 years ago who traveled down to Mumbai to meet me, and then we got talking about gluten. And he said, Luke, the way gluten is processed today, the way wheat is processed, the crops are processed, is way different from how it used to be done in the traditional way years ago. So gluten's changed, the way we process wheat, all of that has changed, but it doesn't change the fact that if you are gluten intolerant and you continue to eat gluten, it's a big problem. At the same time, a lot of people are not gluten intolerant. They're not celiac, but yet they just give it up and they think their health is going to be better. That's fine. If it makes you feel better, great. If not, you could be missing out on some other aspects of your health and lifestyle that you need to change. So let's start. What is celiac? Celiac is when it's an autoimmune condition. You are intolerant to gluten, and if you continue to eat it, your own immune system moves into overdrive and it can start attacking and damaging your intestinal walls, your cells, and your tissues, which is why we have to be aware of certain symptoms. Okay? Number one, how do we self-diagnose? Of course, there are tests that you can do. You can do your TTG antibody test prescribed by your doctor to find out if you're celiac. You can do a DGP test. But besides that, I always say listen to your body. Right now, we're in a situation where you will not be able to get these tests done because the hospitals are full, the path labs are busy, but we can always listen to the symptoms that our body's giving us. And when we can get the test done, we can get the test done. Number one, bloating. If you're constantly bloated, if you're constantly filling up with gas post your meals, post eating gluten, in between the day, sometimes your stomach just bulges so much outside and then goes back after a couple of hours. Bloating can be caused by many symptoms, but today we're talking about gluten intolerance or you being celiac. So it's something that you want to consider. Am I celiac or do I have a gluten intolerance? Number two, loose motions, several through the day, like diarrhea or constipation. If you're celiac or gluten intolerant, you could have both of them, or you could have one of them. You could have severe constipation. We've had loads of patients who have come to us with chronic constipation, and only when we remove gluten in the first week, the constipation disappears. Constipation can also be caused due to other reasons, but we're just talking about gluten today. So you could have diarrhea, you could have constipation, you could have a mix of both. You could be oscillating between constipation and between diarrhea. Abdominal pain, unexplained abdominal cramping, abdominal pain. You take your medicines, you get your antibiotics, but the pain never ever stops. Again, you need to look if you're celiac or gluten intolerant, because if you are, it's creating a lot of inflammation in your gut area, which is translating into the pain that you feel in your abdomen. Headaches and migraines. It is very necessary for us to see that if we constantly keep getting headaches, we constantly keep getting migraines, there could be several other reasons, but one of them could be your gluten intolerance, and one of them could be that you're celiac. Constant fatigue. You're constantly tired, especially you eat a meal that has wheat or barley or rye or gluten, and in the next 1 hour, you can't keep your eyes open. You feel tired, you feel like sleeping, you feel like having a coffee, a stimulant. Again, that could also be caused when you eat too many carbohydrates at lunch or dinner, but it could also be caused, if it's consistent, when you eat gluten. You have skin and hair problems. Skin and hair problems because, again, it's inflammation in the gut. The gut is also responsible for regulating hormones that take care of your skin and your hair. So when you look at hair loss problems, when you look at alopecia, Very important for people and patients of alopecia to give up gluten for 1 to 2 weeks to see if it makes a difference. Because yes, alopecia and you being gluten intolerant or celiac are directly connected with each other. One of the reasons. Urticaria. If you have chronic urticaria, again, you may be gluten intolerant, you may be sensitive to gluten, you may be celiac. Autoimmune conditions, which is why the moment we get an autoimmune patient, no matter what, whether you have psoriasis, eczema, lupus, multiple sclerosis, arthritis, vitiligo, whatever it is, the first thing we do is we stop wheat and we stop dairy. That is the platform. The first thing that we do is stop that, because you may think you're used to it, but it's creating so much of inflammation in you, causing your immune system to overact. So for autoimmune conditions as well, if you have autoimmune conditions, you may want to check if you're celiac or gluten intolerant. Okay, a leaky gut, which again is related with autoimmune conditions. So because you have constant inflammation in your gut every time you have wheat, every time you have gluten, after a while your intestinal walls, you start getting holes in them because your gut bacteria pokes little holes, and now certain food molecules which are supposed to exit your body squeeze through your intestinal walls into your blood. It should never be there. What's not supposed to be in your blood becomes a foreign invader. Your immune system wakes up to attack it, and that's how we begin the attack on our cells, our tissues, our thyroid gland, like in a Hashimoto's or an arthritis, a lupus, a vitiligo, a multiple sclerosis. So leaky gut plays a huge connection with almost every single autoimmune condition, which is why you got to check if you're gluten intolerant. Depression and anxiety, again, yes, we've seen tons of patients going through depression the moment they start to change their diet, remove the inflammatory foods, especially dairy or gluten, one of them or both of them. They start to feel better instantly. That's because of the gut-brain axis. Your gut and your brain are interconnected, which brings you to the next point of brain fog. What is brain fog? A lot of people say, Luke, I have mental confusion. I don't feel good. I feel heavy, lethargic in my head. That's called brain fog, related to your gut, possibly related to gluten intolerance. If you have leg numbness in your legs, numbness in your arms, joint pain, again, you want to check if you're gluten intolerant or you're sensitive towards it. And of course, vitamin deficiencies. You have iron deficiencies, B vitamin deficiencies. You want to check, because when you have an inflamed gut, it compromises absorption of most of your vitamins. So now, what can we do? If you got to give up gluten, there are so many other grains that you can have. You can have white rice, you can have brown rice, you can have sorghum. Sorghum is such a powerful grain, today being studied as a powerful grain when it comes to cancers, Alzheimer's, inflammatory conditions. So you can have sorghum, you can have quinoa, you can have oats, you can have buckwheat, amaranth, teff, nachni or ragi, and millets. Most millets are gluten-free. So there's a lot that you can do if you have to go gluten-free. Like I said, the test to be done is the TTG antibody test or your DGP. Sometimes if it's severe, your doctors may even do an endoscopy for you. It's up to them what they want to do. But if you have any of these symptoms right now that you've been struggling for the longest time, it's about time you get off gluten, wheat, for 1 week to 10 days and observe. Are your symptoms getting better? If yes, you know there's a correlation. If no, then possibly you don't have a problem with gluten. So you need to understand these are little things that are causing innumerable problems. Today, if getting off gluten can give an arthritic patient relief from pain, that is something that we want to explore. That is something that we want to do. Part of integrative medicine is in improving the quality of your life and reducing your pain, not making it worse. So you can be part of that process by listening to your symptoms, trying to correlate it to a food. Like, do I get these rashes and these flare-ups when I have a meal with gluten? There's a correlation. Do a little bit of detective work. It's very simple. So if you have any of these symptoms, you may want to start getting off gluten for about a week. It takes discipline and consistency to achieve everything in life and a little bit of effort. Have a great day, everyone. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, and breathe deep. And remember, you care is all about you.